And now, an analysis of the operational situation on the Toretsk sector of the front. Let's be honest, this is yet another sacred target for Putin and his gang, so the situation here is extremely tense. Today, in the Toretsk direction, the occupiers launched 12 assaults on our defenders' positions near Ivka, Druzhba, and Toretsk. The defense forces are steadfastly holding back the onslaught and have repelled 9 enemy attacks. 3 more clashes are still ongoing. The news of the day in Russia. Dictator Putin allegedly visited the Kursk region, where he met with volunteers and even stopped by the nuclear power plant too. Kremlin propagandists even published a video featuring their leader. But whether it was really Putin or his double is unknown. One thing is certain, in reality it was a hellish night for Russia. Drones struck a strategic Russian factory in the Oryol region. And in Russia, they couldn't restore the internet after the drone attacks. The signal was jammed to bring down the UAVs. Problems were reported in the Moscow region, Tula, Saransk, as well as in the Vladimir and Lipetsk regions. Meanwhile, the enemy is preparing a new assault on the Kharkiv region. There is a buildup of soldiers and military equipment near the border with Ukraine. Details in the report. It was another loud night in Russia. Drones attacked the Oryol region.
Quiet, 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 it's flying. There's going to be an explosion now. Grandpa? It's flying. There it is. Look, Grandpa, over there. The main thing is not towards us, please.
The Volkov plant for the production of semiconductor devices came under attack.
There's going to be an explosion now, Grandpa.
Look, I think that's the plant.
That's already, like, the 8th one.
Meanwhile, there is fierce fighting on the front. According to the General Staff, since the beginning of the day on May 20th, there have been 129 combat clashes. The occupiers are attacking most heavily in the Pokrovsk direction. The Ukrainian armed forces are holding back the assaults. The Russians also tried to break through the border in the Kharkiv region.
Today, the largest number of combat engagements is taking place in the Pokrovsk direction. As we can clearly observe, here in this particular situation, the enemy is trying to use their favorite tactic as part of their usual strategy, forming pincers in order to encircle this settlement and then advance further in the operational direction. We are saying that a rather difficult situation may develop near Milenhrad and Konstantinivka, because we are also talking about Toretsk and Chasiv Yar. It is obvious that the enemy's priorities are determined by their attempts to achieve the strategic goal that has been set for the Russians since the beginning of the full-scale invasion, namely the complete occupation of Donetsk and Luhansk regions.
Moreover, the Russian occupiers continue to use banned chemical weapons against the Ukrainian armed forces. Ukrainian intelligence has published a relevant intercepted enemy conversation.
A lighter is useless if it doesn't ignite. If the chemicals are good, we can try using chemicals. There's no TT or wolf or maybe 2 wolves. To be continued.
Back to the trench again?
Yes, for now we don't have any other task.
The Russian army has never followed the rules of warfare or the use of certain types of weapons, including weapons of mass destruction. Accordingly, this is far from the first case of chemical weapons being used. So unfortunately, there's nothing surprising about this. Yes, such cases have been recorded, are being recorded, and will probably continue to be recorded in the future, because the Russians use absolutely everything to achieve their goals. Everything that is prohibited.
And the news of the day for Russia. Dictator Putin allegedly visited the Kursk region, where he met with volunteers and visited the Kursk nuclear power plant too. Kremlin propagandists even published a video with their leader, but it's impossible to identify him.
It's purely a propaganda move. We understand perfectly well that once again Putin wants to show that the situation is under control, and to demonstrate that the Kursk region has supposedly been cleared of defense forces, which does not correspond to reality today. This raises a logical question. Who then is the Russian Air Force or artillery striking in the territory of the Kursk region? Are they really hitting their own people, or were they aiming at Putin? Therefore, to avoid situations like this, I think it's quite likely that certain Mosfilm studios were used as they matched the scene shown in the propaganda video.
And while Putin is supposedly strolling around Kursk, Ukraine and the Czech Republic have agreed to cooperate in training Ukrainian F-16 pilots. The United States has also not stopped supplying weapons to Ukraine. All aid previously approved by Congress continues to flow, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said. At the same time, Trump refused to support sanctions against Russia because he wants to make business deals with Putin, writes the New York Times.
I hope that our diplomats are still able to maintain that level of diplomatic skill, and that our country's military and political leadership, by maneuvering between the moods of the leader, or rather, the head of the White House, are accordingly doing significant work with senators and congressmen. I sincerely hope that here, let's say, there are indeed some clear and definite indications that things are actually not quite as bad as they might seem today, and that this current situation really can in fact be corrected.
No matter how events unfold, the Ukrainian armed forces are not standing still. Within the 425th Separate Assault Regiment Skala, the 1st Assault Motorcycle Brigade in the Armed Forces of Ukraine has appeared, whose key task is to seize positions through rapid breakthroughs.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine today. Join us now.
And now let's move to the Kharkiv and Kupiansk sectors of the front. The Russian world continues here as well to destroy, kill and maim. In the Kharkiv direction, Ukrainian units repelled 6 enemy attacks in the areas of Vovchansk, Kamenka and towards Mala Shapkovka. In the Kupiansk direction, our soldiers repelled 3 enemy attacks in the areas of Kondrashivka, Zarizove and Nova Krulakivka. Another battle is still ongoing. Athena and her fighters. A 25-year-old woman commands a heavy artillery crew in the Zaporizhzhia region, and under her command are men over 40. However, despite their age, this crew skillfully destroys the enemy and works in the fields of the Zaporizhzhia direction every single day. The film crew of TSN correspondent Ruslan Yarmolyuk witnessed how these defenders stopped enemy infantry with 152 mm caliber shells. Let's watch.
Oh, I can sense it.
I hear it. Don't go out. I hear it. It's coming. No, it's coming.
Enemy drones monitor the sky over Zaporizhzhia around the clock, searching for our gunners and equipment. Because of the huge number of enemy drones, the artillerymen have to camouflage themselves a lot. After every shot, the gun is hidden because enemy drones are constantly flying overhead, and from time to time explosions go off in the tree line. An old Soviet cannon and a very young crew commander. This is Maria with the call sign Athena.
Well, she's from
1976. I'm from 2000. There's quite an age gap between us. So the cannon was born long before I was.
She's 25, while the men she commands are over 40. However, the age difference doesn't get in the way, and the crew works together in harmony. Maria is listened to.
I asked the guys, let's
do it better. She changes us, and maybe she should do less because she is a girl. Maria is originally from Slovyansk. As a child, she saw firsthand what the Russian world and occupation meant.
It's chaos.
It's chaos inside because no one prepared us for this, especially not the children. Not to mention that our parents weren't prepared either. Parents, grandmothers, grandfathers, we were all unprepared. The younger generation had to face this. There was such an important line here, you know? After all, there were 2 camps, and it was important not to break. There really were 2 camps, and everyone had to hold on.
She didn't break, went through training, learned to operate drones, but in the end ended up in artillery.
You know, when people ask, why did you decide to do it? What was the reason? What reason could there be? It's your country, your mother, and she's in trouble. What is a child supposed to do? They have to protect her.
A 5-ton cannon is aimed by coordinates and ready for action. Somewhere along the front, enemy infantry is advancing again, and it needs to be stopped with something heavy, like a 152 mm caliber.
Sometimes we don't even have time to camouflage ourselves before a shell lands 200 or 300 meters away. Well, we get warnings about drones and we fire when the sky is clear.
Yosik is aiming at the target, a former construction worker from the Kiev region, now an artillery gunner. He had no military experience and had never been a gunner before the war.
Here I'm self-taught, as they say.
Athena gives the order to prepare for battle, and the all-male crew springs into action. One carries the shell, another loads it into the barrel, and a third pulls the cord.
Honestly, I want to live to see victory. I want to see the results of the time I've invested, of the life I've lived.
Boars, that's what they call the large caliber shells flying across the fields. The old cannon, in the hands of men under female command, is obedient and accurate.
At first it was even tough.
In the beginning, it was very difficult because of the age difference and the fact that she's a woman. But now we've been on this assignment for the 2nd month. Now everything has really settled down, everything is running smoothly. I don't see any problems with it at all.
They stretch nets over the cannon, quickly camouflage it, and prepare new shells just in case. The crew hides, because the enemy starts firing back, churning up the groves, and searching for the female artillery officer Athena and her warriors. They may not be young anymore, but they are skilled. That's all for today. But very soon, Front News will bring you new, unique reports from our journalists in the hottest spots of the war, gathered so that you know the truth. This was Vladimir Timoshenko with you. Take care of yourselves and your loved ones.